America, except New Mexico is Mexico, and Mexico is New Mexico. Everyone just needs to stop making maps right now. We've peaked. There'll be nothing better than this. Finally, we get old Mexico. I didn't really like that new one that much. Walter White is no longer a US citizen. Here's what if Cuba was a cube. Finally, a rare, non-flat map in these videos. Would this leave any sort of ecological impacts? The fact that Cuba now ejolts out from the surface of the Earth? I feel like the satellites might not like that too much. Countries this person dislikes for no particular reason as a German. In green, we have his home, since he's a German, and it looks like this person really doesn't like Poland, France, the UK, and Russia. I wonder why. Has there been any past conflicts with Germany against these nations? I don't know. I mean, if I knew my history a little bit better, maybe this would be understandable. Maybe he's holding a grudge. We may never know. He's starting to sound like my Argentinian grandpa. Sometimes what a person needs is just one Estonia. Finally, someone brave enough to say this. We should all applaud this poster. Is this how the Nordic countries are gonna finally accept Estonia as one of them? I mean, honestly, at this point, it's about time. Every single world map drawn by a 6-year-old American. All right, in general, they get that Africa's right here, specifically with Egypt. They have giant triangles in the desert, yes. They get that Europe is above that. There's the boot of Italy, and then, I don't know, England somewhere out here. There's big, scary Russia, and we can't forget about China, penguins in Antarctica, Mexico and South America, and finally, yes, 6-year-olds from the US are literally the greatest drawers of the US you've ever seen. You begin to lose the ability at 7 to be able to perfectly memorize literally every single state border. Only thing more important than that on this map is that Santa's in the North Pole. Map of the world, but it's only the biggest countries in each continent. Because Canada is the biggest country by land area in North America, there are nothing but Canadian flags around. Obviously, Brazil's biggest in South America. They didn't have to morph the image that much. This is pretty much already South America. Why does South America get so much of Central America, though? Of course, Ukraine is the biggest in Europe. Algeria is the biggest in Africa. Interesting that they have Russia labeled as Asian, not as, European. I'm assuming it's China that's the biggest if you eliminate Russia or if you include them in Europe. Finally, there's nothing more Kiwi than Australia. They're actually included on the map. Here's a map showing the gender of your country in the language of Turkey. If you didn't already know, there is no grammatical gender in the Turkish language. What a detailed map. This guy must have spent weeks building it. So happy to know in the Turkish language, most of these countries are genderless. I really needed that information. A map that I reviewed last week of all of the lighthouses in the world. As you can see, some countries have a lot more lighthouses than others, specifically the Greeks and Filipinos. Kind of blinding when they try to go fishing. That does seem to be where the two hotspots are right here. This must be a good time. Is the name of your country Holland? In red, no. In green, the official name is the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Holland actually only means the two provinces of Noord-Holland and Zuid-Holland. Between 1588 and 1795, the area currently representing the Netherlands was the Republic of Seven United Nations. The Republic was conquered by French troops in 1795 and became the Battalion Republic. Napoleon appointed his brother Louis as king in 1806, turning the country into a kingdom. The Netherlands remained a defeat at the time. Trying my best to say this as fast as possible, but I can't do it. At the time, the area was called Holland, made the biggest contribution to the entire nation's economy, wealth, as such as commonly lose. It sounds like that's just a really long answer for no. So there's no country on this map named Holland. Thank you for that information. Is your country closer to Italy or the Vatican City? In orange, we have Italy, and in blue, we have the Vatican City. Now, all these red countries in Asia are apparently closer to Italy than the Vatican City. Same goes for Oceania. Same goes for South America and all of Africa. And same goes for North America as well. Who would have thought? It's almost as if the Vatican City is actually just a micronation inside of Italy. Therefore, no country around the world can be closer to it. In fact, the closest city to the Vatican City is Italy. Talk about country inception. I love that there's still no data countries. We still aren't sure how close these countries are to Italy or the Vatican City. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Here's a world map of uncontacted tribes by someone from an uncontacted tribe. I'm not exactly sure how they got internet access to post this, but we're not going to worry about that. So any of the countries that have like a red crown drawn on it, we're not sure exactly. There's no data here. We're not sure if there are uncontacted tribes in these places, perhaps. The only contacted tribe this person that made the map has seen is the tribe that they are from, which also happens to be an uncontacted tribe. Wait, so you're telling me that if you're from an uncontacted tribe, it's like the entire world is an uncontacted tribe. How do I go about joining one of these? I love screenshots of maps posted on TikTok. You know they're gonna be great. Worst year of each country in Europe. So for Italy, we have 1945. For France, we have 1940 when they fell to the no-no Germans. For Spain, it's 1936 during the Civil War. For Poland, it's obviously 1939 when they got invaded by two neighbors. Obviously for Austria-Hungary, it was the end of World War I because they broke apart. For the Yugoslavian nations, it was 1999 when Yugoslavia was gone. Obviously what Ukraine is dealing with right now is probably the worst year. And for all the former Soviet Union, it's going to be 1991 when they dissolved. 1997 for the British. Why 1997? Regardless, this is definitely one way to look at it. But if you're talking about the worst year in history, I mean, not just the worst year in the last 100 years. Although, to be fair, Sweden does go back to 1660. Oh, this is when Princess Diana died. Regardless, I think that TikTok map has been beat. It has been beaten by this one single year, which actually happens to be the worst year for all the countries. That year is exactly 66 million BC. Now, you might be asking yourself, Drew, what could have possibly happened in 66 million BC that all of these places would agree upon as being the worst year of all time? You're probably honestly not gonna believe what happened back in the day. I mean, you actually might not believe it, but the dinosaur bones in the ground certainly will. I'm sure if you could actually talk to the dirt that was in Europe at the time, they probably would maybe say this event. Although, hasn't there been several catastrophic events like this throughout Earth's history? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been like at least more than 10 mass extinction events. What I find funny about this map though is that 66 million years ago, Europe definitely didn't look like this. And no, I'm not talking about the political borders at all that we see here. The whole thing looked a little bit more like this. I love this headline, the worst day in Earth's history, but at the very same time, it was kind of the greatest day for all of humans. We should be thanking this giant rock from the sky because we wouldn't be here without it. Look, Mom, look! It's America, or the United States American territories. I think that's part of the joke that it's not America, South and North America. Wait, what is going on in the Caribbean? Oh yeah, we have that whole Guantanamo Bay thing. And people like to think border gore hasn't existed since the Holy Roman Empire. Nope, it still exists today. It's just a bit more invisible. And America is one of the worst perpetrators of it. Everyone always forgets to include territorial waters. It makes everything so disgusting. We just can't see it with the natural eye. And you thought border gore would never get this bad again. Map of all the countries who've eaten their prime minister. In green, the countries that haven't tried prime minister yet. In yellow, who haven't had the opportunity to eat a prime minister because they don't have a prime minister. Maybe it's better, they actually have more on the menu. And finally, in red, the countries that have eaten their prime minister. Do you think we're ever gonna let the Dutch forget about this? We always gotta bring it up like every single month. You gotta admit, it is pretty impressive that they're the only country on Earth that have eaten their prime minister. Everyone's gotta try at least one time. I'm actually kind of hoping that we'll have to update this map in a couple years. Wait, maybe I'm not allowed to say that. That's gonna definitely put me on a list. I guess to be fair, we're not sure exactly if Greenland has done this or not. How I perceive the USA as a Polish person, gotta admit, this one actually looks pretty unique. Hawaii, fish, and also hot. California is just LA. I like that you gave us Baja California. That is rightfully California territory. It is weird that there's not more maps that acknowledge this. Nice looking trees, that's right. Washington has a lot of those, so does Oregon. Just a giant desert, question mark? Pretty much. Gambling, kind of in Colorado, just move the bubble a little bit. That's fine. Texas, yeehaw. Disney World and old people. They're generally. Religion, New York. Casey Neistat lives here. Of all the people to have used who lives in New York, Casey Neistat is not the example I expected. Rhode Island, smaller New York. Glad that they finally acknowledged it should be an island. It's about time. We need to push that thing out of here. Finally, for reals, one of the more unique takes, emo music comes from the Midwest. That is very true, and I'm wondering how this Polish man knows that. I've never seen anyone say that before, but it's so true. Polish seem to be very educated about the US. Oh no, not another infographic show thumbnail. Not only will Ukraine take most of Russia after WWE3, but Mexico will take back most of the USA too. Oh, also the Caribbean and all of Cuba for some reason. What exactly is gonna go on in this WWE3 when the US, who would probably be allied to Ukraine, doesn't win, whereas Ukraine does? Probably need to go watch this video then. Here's another screenshot from a video. This one is Hilter holding a map of the USSR. All right, this example is a bit more egregious. Why is the USSR so giant? The other scenario was just an alt history. This one is, yeah, I don't know what this is. All of China, all of the Middle East almost, Turkey and Iraq and Israel. Now, to be fair, maybe this is what Hilter is thinking the USSR is going to look like if he doesn't intervene. I don't know, I didn't watch this video. To be fair, just scrolling through the thumbnails, I don't see any other map mistakes, although there's no New Zealand here. That happens in, like, literally all of my thumbnails, though. I cannot squeeze New Zealand into all the thumbnails. thumbnails. I get called out for that so much. I feel like I don't make map mistakes exactly unless I'm reacting to the map mistake that went on. Sometimes they're just maps that I find funny. How many times I have eaten McDonald's in every country I visited? In blue, we have a lot because I live here. And in red, we have 0. And one thing's for sure, this man definitely has no feeling towards McDonald's outside of his country of Georgia. He also refuses to acknowledge the existence of the British Isles. It is possible that he eats McDonald's in the gray countries. We're just not sure. There's no data. Maybe he eats a lot here too. We saw a map of how the USA is perceived from a Polish person's perspective. Now let's see what an American thinks. What we're looking at here is the United States perceived by an American. It is incredible. Just absolutely insanely accurate. I'm super surprised an American understands America. How exactly can this be? Europe, but I cloned as many Italys in Europe as possible. Here is Italy, or the underbelly of Europe. There's Greek Italy. There's Portuguese Italy. There's Brittany, France Italy. There's British Italy. That was an attempt to say British and Italy at the same time. Danily, Norwegily, Sweetily, Finnily. She sounds kind of good. There's one peninsula that Russia controls. Oh, no Italy and Iceland. Wait, are there many Italys up here too? Am I missing Italys? I think there might be even more. This is just too much pasta for my brain to compute. I don't think the world would be prepared for something like this. With all these boots flying around everywhere, this is reminding me of a certain flag, the Sicilian flag to be exact, which is also in Italy. It's all Italy! My solution to the Texas-Utah conflict. So in order to fix one of the most infamous rivalries between two states that don't even border each other, we're gonna turn Utah into a SpongeBob SquarePants chair, and we're going to I don't know. Every time I see this image, I can only think of one thing. I love that Texas will never be able to outlive this. Like, has anyone gone harder after Texas than SpongeBob? No one else is brave enough. A map of the island Ireland. In green, we have Ireland. And in orange, we have Ireland, but in orange. Ah, it always has been. Fascinating stuff there. Did you know most popular game in each state? In blue, we have Fork Knife. In red, we have Call of Duty. In yellow, we have The Sopranos, Road to Respect. Not surprised at all, New York and New Jersey. In purple, we have The Deadliest Catch, The Sea of Chaos. Again, I think it also checks out. And finally, in green, we have Checkers Party Quiz, circa 2007. Oh man, what a classic. If I had $1 every time I played that game, I don't know what else to say, I would be broke. I'm immediately enthralled just by this single screenshot. Considering the population of the states that play this that much, it's probably just like 3 or 4 dudes that are going around playing this game, and that's probably why it's like swinging the data so much. I'm glad this person did not source their data. We definitely don't need that. This makes sense to me. And big thanks to my patrons. Drew, I forgot to kidnap you. Next date is March 19th, 2023 at 6:30
Boy, do I love Arby's.
Drew's Eritrean grandma.
Portugal is not
Drew's
Balkans.
Argentinian
$20
grandpa.
is a lot, Drew.
aPhatNarwhal.
Bryton is the
Caleb,
best. The Mexican
Mexican
760.
Jack Traven's annoying friend.
JohnDenver,
LuxembourgLover.
Luxembourg:Lover.
Phresh Animations.
Rye,
The
the Polish
Weekend.
Lithuanian
The
Commonwealth.
Thwicken
Carmel
Hamster.
Saida and ZaneyBoi.